Welcome back. Chance Eaton again, management consultant with Big Skyway Leadership College. In this video, I want to share with you some of the curriculum. The program revolves around the theory and research from Gallup on best team management practices. Gallup's research on engagement, in my opinion, is one of the best kept secrets in day-to-day management. In fact, it might be the best kept secret in the world of work. So as a cohort, you will take the Gallup Q12 to have actual data to refer to. And if your company already uses the Gallup, which we highly encourage, most of our great clients are already using Gallup Q12, we ask that you bring that data to refer to throughout the course. So employee engagement is measuring the psychological needs of people at work. And here you see a sample of some data. You see the 12 items, you see means, you see where it falls from percentile perspective in their database, you see some variance in distribution, you see the Gallup overall mean. And so the data is normed. It also has utility validity. So that means all these items, in order to make the survey, had to correlate with actual business outcomes. Utility validity is very hard to come by. So these items correlate with things like profitability, productivity, customer satisfaction, retention, safety, theft. So it's actually measuring something meaningful. It has that level of validity. Also, to make the survey, it had to be something that was controllable. And most important, this is that deeper research that Gallup has done over the years. Over 70% of the variance is due to the team leader, the team manager. That blows my mind. Most of the variance is due to the person leading that team. So when you consider all these factors, it's norm data, has actual utility validity, very hard to come by, it's controllable, most of the variance is due to the team leader. It really becomes an ideal framework for developing team managers and team leaders. So in this Frontline Certificate program, we will share with you the research behind the survey, tour through the Gallup Q12 items, and most important, we'll give you practices and actual activities you can apply to build your management acumen. And this is what we're best known for, these little one-page worksheets that you can go out and apply immediately to help deliver better management and leadership results. So let's tour through some of the things that you're going to learn in the course. We're going to start off talking about clarity of work expectations. Clarity can mean clarity of the day, clarity of the week, clarity of onboarding, clarity of goals and objectives, just getting super clear about our communication. And so we're going to learn about 5 W's and how, who, what, why, where, and how, and just using that everywhere that we possibly can to create absolute clarity in what we're trying to do. We'll talk about goal conversations and even complex goal conversations because they just really answer in a structured way who, what, why, where, when, and how. We'll talk about meetings, which is a great space, a great venue to make sure there's clarity. Everyone knows what the action items are, communications, decisions, etc. We'll also talk about key performance indicators to really peg and identify what success looks like within someone's role. And then we'll also talk about this advanced idea of flexing your directiveness and what clarity looks like depending on people's different levels of commitment and ability. Next, we'll talk about obstacles and resources and friction that comes with work, that ability to hang in there and have conflict about things that aren't working. So really finding out what are the problems to something. We'll talk about the knowing 4-year-old scripts. We'll also talk about problem finding with tables and legs. We've got this generalized problem as the table, and we need to get underneath and identify those legs that are really driving the problem so we can fix something. So not being scared of the conflict and diving into friction. We'll then move on to personality, talents, and strengths, and really recognizing where yours and other team members are wicked smart, where are their shoulders the broadest. How do we understand that, name that, claim that, and aim that, and integrate people's talents to the work? We'll be taking the Holland's occupational themes. A lot of our clients also use DISC, Clifton Strength Finder. It doesn't really matter what you use, but they all fall into this bucket of really using those personality tools, recognize where people's shoulders are the broadest, and bringing that to the forefront. We'll also talk about feedback, both negative and positive, but from the positive perspective, we're going to give folks a scoring mechanism using the Gaussian distribution or our bell curve to identify how do we talk about performance, and then scripts for when performance is greater than expected. How do we actually have that conversation so it really gets through? And then we'll talk about care. It's that human side of work. It shows up in all the research. How do you make touch points with folks at work because it creates familiarity? How do we be there, and not treat every situation as a transaction, and be there with people? And how do we speak with care? Just, being human 101 kinds of activities. And then we'll also talk about my favorite area is this coaching and development for continued growth. So we'll talk about why goal conversations create stretch in the mind, and how do you leverage that stretch because the mind wants to go back to a comfort zone. How do we create that stretch and continue that momentum with someone so there's clarity and action and accountability and momentum? And we'll talk about grow scripts. This is the one thing that I use every single day as a dad and as a coach and as a manager. So we know how to talk about past and future. We're really debriefing and helping people grow as we understand the work of work. Next, we'll talk about another kind of human side of this, and it's listening and making sure opinions count. As Stephen Covey says, seek first to understand, then be understood. And so we'll talk about this kind of generic idea of trust and what trust accounts look like, and the trust quotient, kind of a mathematical equation for how people are unconsciously assessing other people's trust. And then we'll talk about some listening activities, such as rephrasing content back and then pulling that string so you really understand what's happening. If you're the manager of that group, you get to make the final decision, but you need to hang in there and make sure people's opinions count. People are more likely to buy into anything so long as they have that chance to weigh in. And then we'll talk about this kind of abstract idea of mission and purpose. People want to belong to something. They want to believe in something that's bigger than them. They want to know why do they wake up every morning. And it's knowing how to rehearse those cultural DNA aspects that you have in your organization, reminding people why we show up, what's important, what our values are, what's that big, hairy, audacious goal. You're reminding people of what that's all about, because we need to believe in something that's bigger than us, and why not let organizations be part of that. And then we come back to feedback again, but this time it's negative feedback. Sometimes people perform less than expected. And we go back to that scoring mechanism using the Gaussian distribution and giving people scripts for how do we have conversations when their behaviors or their performance is less than expected, so we can help them get back on track. And even those deeper conversations of how do we coach someone in and coach someone out. We talk about, the relationships, friends at work. Work is hard. We work long hours. And it only makes sense that we create opportunities for people to get to know each other at work and let human nature take over. So we talk about different ways that we can have that lighthearted side of work while staying in those boundaries where people are safe and they're still productive. And then we'll move on to just progress, evaluation of performance. So we'll talk about one-on-one performance scripts and what our job is as managers and how we talk about performance over some period of time, so folks know where they're at. They want ongoing progress discussions. They don't want to wait 16 months to see how they did over the previous session. And then lastly, we'll talk about the growth journey that employees have. People want to grow. And so we'll talk about individual development plans and how to weave that conversation into where do you see yourself in a year, 3 years, 5 years, and putting together plans, because people get excited when they know this is a place that I can grow. It's not just a job, it's also a career. So to summarize, employee engagement is just measuring those psychological needs of people at work. And when we look at the data set that we're provided, we have norm data, we have utility validity, so we know these items correlate with real business outcomes. That's very hard to come by. We know the items are controllable by managers, and most important, most of the variance is due to that team leader. So considering all these factors, Gallup Q12 becomes an ideal framework for developing team managers and team leaders. So back to the original problem I was talking about, we mistakenly believe that the technical skills will translate to team management skills, and this simply isn't true. So what we want to do is, in my mind, we want to bolt on to our technical abilities these team management skills. And I fully recognize that the higher you move up in an organization, different talents and skills are necessary, but at that front line level, we really need to make sure we've got team management skills in order for us to be effective. And when we're doing this, when we're starting to build that succession planning by taking high-performing employees, lead technicians, turning them into frontline managers, etc. We're building that bench strength. This is succession planning 101. We build that bench strength for an ever-growing management and leadership culture for your organization. So I look forward to seeing you in one of our upcoming frontline management certificate programs. Reach out anytime if you want to take a deeper dive into our curriculum or you want to discuss your unique challenges. So from all of us here at Big Sky Way, thank you. And when leaders keep learning, business gets better. Take care.